So now we're going to take a look at measures of variation. So measures of center looked at the center of the data. Measures of variation are used to describe the distribution or spread of the data. So they are values that divide, we have quartiles, which are values that divide the data set into 4 equal parts. So imagine if you had a data set, you split it in half, and then you split the bottom in half, and you split the top in the half. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So we're going to have what we call our first quartile, our median, which we already know how to find in the middle, our third quartile, and that's what splits it up into these 4 equal parts. So median, we already know. Most important part, do not forget, put the data in numerical order. Find the middle value, that is your median. The first quartile is the median of the data values less than the mean. So we already had it in order from least to greatest. We are looking at those values that are less than the mean, the bottom half of the data, right? And we're finding the middle value of that bottom half. Versus your third quartile is the median of the data values greater than the mean. So again, we still had our data divided in half. This time we are looking at the top half, and we are finding the median or the middle value of the top half. Sometimes people ask, why do we have a first quartile and a third quartile and not a second quartile? We do. If this is our Q1, our first quartile, and this is our Q3, our third quartile, the median is technically your Q2. We just have a special word for it. Your interquartile range, or you will hear us refer to it as the IQR, is the difference between the Q1 and the Q3. So it's a range. We are just subtracting our Q3 minus our Q1 to figure out, oh, it has a range of however many. And then just range on its own is the difference between the highest and lowest values. So anytime we're dealing with median, we need to put them in order from least to greatest. So I've got a 0, another 0, we've got 1, another 1, 2, another 2, 3, 5, another 5, another 5, 6, 7, another 7, 10, and 11. Now that it's in order from least to greatest, first thing I'm going to do is find the median. I'm going to cross off lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest. We're left with 1 in the middle. Remember, if it's an odd data set, there should be 1 value in the middle. If it's even, there should be 2. So our median, which I'm going to write where it says M, is 5. When you have 1 data set in the middle, I am not going to include that. So I'm going to cross it off when I'm finding my Q1 and my Q3, because now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data values below, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data values above. If I left this in here, it would be uneven. So now for my Q1, I'm just looking at this bottom half. So I'm finding the median of this bottom half, and if it helps you to kind of use your fingers like that, do it. If not, crossing off lowest, highest. I like to do it in the opposite direction so I can see what I'm done with. Lowest, highest, lowest, highest. I am left with that 1 value in the middle. I'm double checking. There's 3 below, there's 3 above, there's 1 in the middle. So our Q1 is 1. Now I'm doing the same thing to the top. Crossing off lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest. I'm left with 1 value in the middle, which is 7. That is our Q3. If I had 1 value on the bottom, I should have 1 value on the top. If I had 2 values on the bottom, I should have 2 values on the top. It should be symmetrical. So for our IQR, we're taking our Q3, which is 7, minus our Q1 of 1, 7 minus 1 is 6. So our IQR, the range between the Q3 and the Q1, is 6. Our range is just our highest value of 11 minus the lowest value of 0. 11 minus 0 is 11. So the whole data has a range of 11. Okay, number 2. The following are the temperatures in Vernon Hills the past 11 days, except I don't think that's 11 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should say 9 days. Okay, let's write this out. So we've got our lowest value is 53, then 56, then 58, 59, 60, 61, 64, 70, and 75. All right, let's find that median. So we are crossing off lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest. We have one value in the middle here, which makes sense. We had 9 data values. It's odd there should be one value in the middle. So that 60 is our median. When there's one value in the middle, we are crossing it off and not including it when we find our Q1 and our Q3. So Q1, I'm just looking at this bottom half. I'm going to cross off in the opposite direction. So I'm crossing off my lowest, my highest. Now, if I crossed off 56, I'd also have to cross off 58, which leaves me with nothing left. So that means both of these are in the middle. Just like with median, when we have 2 values in the middle, we need to add them up and divide by 2 to find the average. So 56 plus 58 is 114. Divide 114 by 2, and we get 57, which makes sense. That's in between 56 and 58. So our Q1 is 57. Now we're doing the same thing to the top half for our Q3. Crossing off lowest, highest. If I crossed off 64, I'd also have to cross off 70, which leaves me with nothing. So both of these are in the middle. We had 2 values on the bottom. We should have 2 values on the top. Symmetrical. So I'm going to add 64 plus 70 and divide it by 2 to find the middle of those two, the average of those two, the mean of those two. 64 plus 70 is 134. Divided by 2 equals 67. So our Q3 is 67. So our IQR is going to be our Q3, which is 67, minus our Q1 of 57. 67 minus 57 is 10. So the range between those two is 10. Our actual range, we're just taking our highest value, which is 75, minus our lowest value, which is 53. 75 minus 53 is 22 for the overall range. All right, number 3. Students in Miss Eider's class took a math test this week. The scores are listed in order from least to greatest. Find the measures of variation. So, the nice thing about this is it already says that the scores are listed in order from least to greatest for us. So we don't have to list them. So I'm just going to go straight into finding the median by crossing off lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest. If I crossed off, so we went cross off, cross off, cross off, cross off, crossed off, crossed off, crossed off. If I crossed off these two, we'd have nothing. So both of these are in the middle for our median. Maybe you can look at it and see what's in between those two numbers. If not, add them together. 85 plus 87 divided by 2. 85 plus 87 is 172. divided by 2 is 86. So our median is 86. That makes sense. That's right in between 85 and 87. Now here's the trick. When we had one value, we crossed it off and it was not included when we found the median, the Q1 and Q3. When we have two values, we are going to put a line right in the middle of that. 85 is going to be included when we find the Q1, the bottom half. 87 is going to be included when we find the Q3, the top half. So as I'm crossing off, be careful. 70 is my lowest. 85 is my highest. 72 is the next lowest. 83 is the next highest. 74 is the next lowest. 82 is the next highest. And it can kind of get hard to see here. So we cross off, cross off, cross off. We are left with these two numbers in the middle. So I'm going to add 77 plus 81, divide by 2 to find the middle of those two numbers. 77 plus 81 is equal to 158. Divide those by 2, and we get 79. So our Q1 is 79. Now we're doing the same thing, just top half. Remembering 87 is included in the top half. So that's our lowest number. Highest is 98. Next lowest is 88. Next highest is 96. Lowest, highest. Again, we are left with two values in the middle. They're the same exact number, so you might realize that it's going to just be 92. But if not, add the two together and divide by 2. 92 plus 92 is 184. Divide that by 2, and you get 92. So our Q3 is 92. Our IQR, we are taking our Q3 of 92 minus our Q1 of 79, which equals 92 minus 79 is equal to 13 for the IQR. And then range is our highest number of 98 minus our lowest number of 70. 98 minus 70 is 28. Last one. The following are heights of students in Mr. Cameron's gym class. The heights are listed in order from least to greatest. So again, they are already listed in order from least to greatest for us. We can just start crossing off. So I'm crossing off my lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest. We are left with two numbers in the middle, so we need to find the averages of those two. So 65 plus 71 divided by 2. 65 plus 71 is equal to 136 divided by 2. 136 divided by 2 is equal to 68. So our median is 68. Remember, when we have two values in the middle, we are going to draw a line in between the two. 65 is going to be included with the bottom half. 71 is going to be included with the top half. So finding our Q1, we're crossing off 58, which is our lowest. 65 is our highest. Lowest, highest. We are left with two numbers in the middle. So we're going to find the average of those two. 60 plus 64 divided by 2. 60 plus 64 is 124. Divided by 2 is 62, which makes sense. That's right in between 60 and 64. Doing the same thing to the top half. 71 is our lowest. 76 is our highest. Then 71, 76. We are left with two values in the middle. I'm going to add them together and divide by 2 to find the average. So 71 plus 75 is 146. Divided by 2 is 73. So our Q3 is 73. So for our IQR, we're going to do our Q3, which is 73, minus our Q1 of 62. And we get an IQR of 11. And then for our range, we're taking our highest value of 76 minus our lowest value of 58. 76 minus 58 is equal to a full range of 18.